So, and that's U.S. dollars. So I think the Chinese are used to, building at that economic level because they're building. I mean, they build millions of low-income housing units every year in this country.
Well, I think they're going to, because I've seen photographs of the cities that they've built. I mean, they built Paris. What did they build? Manhattan. Replicas of Manhattan and replicas of the center of Paris. And I've seen all those cities that they've built. I've seen videos, and it's amazing what they can do, and they do it very quickly. So it's going to be really great.
Well, it sounds what you have confirmed what I heard. When we moved back here in 2010. I mean, I'll be honest. From 2001 to 2010, China wasn't really on my radar because, my wife and I were in the United States, and we had our own issues, our own issues there. But when I got back, we came back. I kept reading these articles about how the Chinese are, screwing over the Africans and, leasing for 99 years, a hectare of prime farmland for, €1 a year and all this other stuff, and how they're going in stealing all the resources. And I thought, well, heck, this sounds just like the Westerners. And because that's what they've been doing for 500 years. And so, but apparently, I think the Chinese have evolved, and I think they maybe saw that was not a sustainable model. And I'm getting you kind of confirm what I've heard is that they are trying to go back and actually, instead of just building that hospital and all that, they're actually trying to go back and create, manufacturing, et cetera, and trade, around that area, so that they do have the money to run the hospital. So hopefully this is being repeated around the continent.
Well, I bring up the case of motor car vehicles as an example. Instead of just buying our steel and then selling us motor cars, rather open up a motor car manufacturer here and use our steel, and sell the cars.
Did they do that? Did they do that?
Well, that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
There's one company that's opening up a truck company, truck manufacturer. Another company that's opening up our taxis that we have here, the black taxis.
No, I don't. Because when I used to arrive, I'd rent a Jetta, a Volkswagen Jetta. Stop at the closest music store I could find, buy about 20 cassette tapes, and listen to wonderful South African music for the next 2 weeks while I drove all over the country visiting farmers. So I didn't use taxis. I actually drove.
Well, South Africa doesn't really have a bus service. Okay, our public transport service is abysmal. So what we have developed is very enterprising. We call them the black taxis because it was actually started by the black community, and they I don't know what you call them. We call them combis.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Little like little miniature buses.
Yeah. Okay. And so they basically have got this, and it's a massive industry, a massive business with these taxis all over the country. And, of course, the taxis get worn out, so there is a need for them. So Chinese companies are going to come here and they're going to make taxis. But when they say taxis, that is what they mean by taxis.
Yeah,
they don't mean...
They're little family vans that hold 6, 8, 10 people, and they can manage to pack in 30.
That's right. That's exactly it. So when they say taxis, we're not talking about your London taxi.
No. Nor a yellow cab in New York City.
Or a yellow cab in New York City. We're talking African taxi.
Oh, I know what you're talking. I mean, I used to see them, but I didn't have an opportunity to ride them.
Yeah, well, I don't know what South Africa would do without those taxis, quite frankly, because, like I said, our public transport system is abysmal. We really do not have municipal buses. We do, but certainly we do not have a big enough municipal buses to transport everybody. So that's the other thing. Now, the other thing that excites me is China has bought major shareholding in BP in Angola, in Luanda. Now, Angola has got more oil than Saudi Arabia. Did you know that?
I know it had a lot of oil. I didn't know it had that much.
Oh, no. Angola has got lots of oil. And you know that we fought the border war up with Angola?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the Cubans were against the Cubans.
We were fighting against the communists in Angola.
The Cubans did very well for themselves.
Oh, you know what I sat and wondered about that whole situation? Can you imagine if South Africa, instead of wasting their time, their effort, their money, their lives fighting a border war, had instead gone and talked to the Angolans and said, listen,
let's cut a deal.
Let's cut a deal. We'll build a pipeline.
Yeah.
An oil pipeline to Cape Town. Not only that, we'll build a oil pipeline from Luanda across through Botswana, through Zimbabwe,
and buy every drop of it.
Up to Tanzania and into Zambia as well. We wouldn't need the Middle East, Jeff.
Yeah.
You know, it would make the whole of Southern Africa oil independent.
Well, maybe the Chinese will build a pipeline. The Russians and the Chinese are the best in the world.
Well, you know, when I saw this, China's buying, major shareholding in BP in Luanda.
Now you're talking about British Petroleum. Is that BP, British Petroleum?
British Petroleum. They have bought major shareholding in, but I can't remember the percentage shareholding. And I think it's the majority shareholding as well, in BP in Angola, in Luanda. And if they do that, then, maybe I should just send the Chinese embassy in Pretoria an email. Say, listen, how about this for an idea? We could make a whole of Southern Africa petrol independent.
Well, that's what the Russians and the Chinese are doing here with their $750 billion and which is all going to be paid for in RMB and rubles. The east and west gas lines and oil pipelines, all part of the new Silk Road, to interconnect the Eurasian continent.
Well, Jeff, when I look at articles on that new Silk Road, it is going to be a massive project, and it is so exciting.
Unless the United States and the Western Empire can somehow sabotage it, and they are doing everything they can to do that, to make that happen.
They're doing everything they possibly can. But it is so exciting when you look at it, the potential for growth. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And you sit and think, why wasn't this done long ago?
Yeah, actually, the Indians and the Chinese, the Indians actually started it back about 200 to 300 BC, actually before that, about 500 BC, and then it was the Chinese with the Han Dynasty and right around the birth of Christ that really made the Silk Road, took it to new levels, and then it really took off in the 1200s, and that's when Marco Polo traveled here, and so the Chinese have been doing the Silk Roads for the last 2,000 years.
Yeah, but when I say why didn't they do it long ago, I'm meaning like in the last 50 years.
Yeah, well, there was the Soviet Union and a few other issues.
Jeff, it was their fault. It was the communists.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we'll see. So there is a positive side to this. That is, I'm keeping my eye on it, but yes, South Africans as a whole are very reticent and very wary of the Chinese and the Russians. The stigma of the communists still sticks. They are very worried about, a whole lot of Chinese coming to live here for many different reasons, as I've explained to you. And especially South Africans they don't want people coming here and taking away their jobs. That is a very real concern.
Well, hopefully the Chinese model, and you kind of confirm that they have seen the light, and repeating the Western, colonial model of, exploitation and extraction is not a viable model for the 21st century, and hopefully the Chinese will replicate what you're talking about. And what, based on everything I'm reading here in the Chinese press, the Chinese really are doing that. I mean, they really are trying to do what Xi Jinping is calling win-win. Win-win investment, win-win, trade. So hopefully the Chinese will continue to do this in Africa, because it would really be wonderful for Africa if they did.
Let me just read this particular section to you. Okay, as a result, Chinese leaders have been paying lip service to investment that brings more direct benefits to African countries in the form of jobs or support of non-resource related industries. It makes sense then that Zendai stressed what the financial center would bring to Africa's largest economy. We're talking about the city. Jobs for 100,000 people and a hub for Chinese investment in sub-Saharan Africa. Zendai said 70% of housing in the complex will be reserved for black middle-class families. And you see, that is in alignment with BEE, with Black Economic Empowerment Laws. So
that
there you
sounds
have
promising. That sounds like a model that they need to repeat elsewhere.
Yeah, so long as you're giving back to the community and you're helping the community grow, and you're not just coming there and taking, and that you're giving back to the people of whose country it is in the first place. Right, what else do I have for you? Oh, we need to talk about...
How about metal and diamond mines? Because there's a lot of speculation about how much gold China has, and whether they have 3,000 metric tons or 30,000 metric tons, and the new gold fund that they funded $16 billion for the Silk Road project. So what about China in the gold and diamond business?
Well, our gold mines, to the best of my knowledge, the Chinese haven't bought much of our gold mines out. They have invested in platinum.
Okay.
Platinum. We have got very large platinum reserves here. The gold mines apparently don't have much gold left, and what gold they do left is very deep, deep underground mining.
Very expensive to extract.
Very, very expensive to extract. But what we do have is, of course, very good gold refineries. So, if China invests anywhere else in gold mines in the rest of Africa, especially now put that together with the city at Johannesburg International Airport.
They could ship the ore to, or the concentrates to South Africa.
Who will refine the gold for them? Because we've already got the whole thing set up for gold refinery. Plus the city near the airport. And it all kind of fits together. So South Africa could very well be a major gold refiner.
This is all very interesting, Gail. This has been a wonderful conversation. Is there anything else on our list that we have not covered?
I've got two more things for you as far as investments.
Please, I'm all ears.
All right. The one is Standard Bank. Okay, Standard Bank, South Africa. It is a South African bank, by the way. A lot of people, I've watched them on the internet. Oh, it belongs to the Rothschilds. Oh, it's the British. It's not the British. Standard Bank is a South African bank. 53.8% of the shares are owned by South Africa.
What percent, Gail?
53.8.
53%, okay. So it's a majority-owned South African bank.
Majority-owned South African bank. Foreign shareholders represent 46.2%. Of those foreign shareholders, China has 20.1% shareholding in Standard Bank.
Wow.
And for those who think that Standard Bank is owned by the Rothschilds, the United Kingdom has 3.1% shareholding in Standard Bank.
Wow. So China has 20% of of South Africa's biggest national bank.
Standard Bank, right? It's a private bank. Okay? It doesn't belong to the government.
Are there laws? Are there laws that will keep that from ever becoming majority foreign owned?
Yeah, because of black economic empowerment.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, right. So long as we keep the black economic empowerment laws in place, you know, it cannot really become. So, but now the thing about Standard Bank is all over Africa. Standard Bank is in South America. Standard Bank is in Russia. And Standard Bank is in China. Standard Bank has been going since the 18th century.
Wow.
Are you still?
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm listening.
Yeah, okay. Look, the 1800s, not the 18th century. Started in the early 1800s in Port Elizabeth. And then when they discovered gold in the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, they opened up a branch in Johannesburg in a tent.
in a gold rush tent.
Their first office in Johannesburg was in a tent, in the mud, in the gold rush. So there you go. It is a totally, South African owned bank.
But it's interesting then to note then that the Chinese are probably the largest foreign shareholder of Standard Bank.
They are. And then when you think that, go and Google Standard Bank on the internet.
I'd like to find out who in China has that 20%. I wonder which bank it is, or banks, because all the banks in China are government owned. There's not a private bank here.
It is a government bank. I think it is. I can't remember now.
I'll look it up. That's interesting.
All right. So you've got that. Now what we have is another very interesting thing that I discovered. Is we have, let me just get down to my notes here. Naspers. Company called Naspers.
Can you spell that, please?
Naspers.
Naspers. Okay. Tell us about Naspers, Gail.
Naspers is into pay television.
Oh.
You guys call it cable. So you pay
a monthly fee. To have 150 channels to watch.
Yeah, so we have Mnet through Naspers and we have DSTV through Naspers. They are also into the internet and they're also into media, news media. Naspers, by the way, is the biggest single shareholder in Chinese internet giant Tencent.
Oh, really? Wow.
So Naspers is all over China.
So is Naspers a South African company?
Correct.
Okay. I'll have to look into that.
It is, but it gets even more interesting than that. Naspers is 79% owned by the South African government.
Oh, wow. So basically it's a public company.
And it's managing assets of 1.6 trillion and growing.
Wow.
And Naspers is also in Russia. Naspers is also in Eastern Europe. Naspers is also in South America. And Naspers is all over Africa.
Huh, that's interesting. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I
Investments in media and technology companies in Russia and China. So I thought that might interest you.
oh,
So now,
that's fascinating.
so we get back to this BRICS thing and the BRICS article on the BRICS Post and absolutely nothing in the South African media. And honestly, Jeff, the only thing I can put it down to is that we are walking a very fine line here. I think things are being done very quietly.
Okay, all right. Because I mean, over here, I mean, Zuma's in the newspapers, and there's every time he interviews, there's something. In China, BRICS is BRICS is front and center. When he was, I think he was recently here in Beijing, and he had an interview, and that was all over the press. I mean, China. I mean, BRICS is like, it's a major deal here, as it is in Russia.
Well,
But they have the clout. They have the clout and the military and the intelligence. I think that they are a little less vulnerable to internal color revolutions than maybe a South Africa is, and maybe that's what you're suggesting.
well, I just think that we're walking a very fine line and things are being done very quietly and nobody's screaming and shouting and banging any drums and
So that the CIA and the MI6 don't come in and try to turn the country upside down.
well, South Africans are very aware of them because, they worked with the CIA in Angola.
Yeah, of course.
The war in Angola, so they know all about them. And I was proud. I know it sounds crazy, but I was very proud that our guys went up there and helped the Nigerians against the Boko Haram. A lot of South Africans were very proud of that.
What the South Africans need to be conscious of is that when they went up there and fought against Boko Haram, they're going up and fighting against the Western Empire, because it's the Boko Haram is being fed and sustained. And where did all those brand new Toyota trucks come from? Where did all those rocket propelled grenades come from? Where did all those turret mounted machine guns come from? They all came from the United States via Saudi Arabia, which then, ships the stuff to Libya, and then it's brought across the border. It's so unfortunately your guys are fighting the United States.
I think they are aware of that. Do you know that they sent in the same guys into Libya to try and get Gaddafi out? South Africa.
But I have read that the South Africans are very respected as far as their military acumen and secret secret operations and that kind of thing. Of course, they did that for years during apartheid, so you would think they'd be very good at it.
Oh, they are. I had to laugh. The question you asked me was, how do we feel? Do we feel, one of your questions were, do we have a chip on our shoulders? Do we feel intimidated by BRICS or whatever? With a chip on our shoulders, no. I think the last time South Africans had a chip on their shoulder was the day before Mandela became president. We have not had a chip on our shoulders ever since. And as for intimidated, Jeff, I had to laugh at that. You've been to South Africa. How can you ask if we feel?
Well, but it's been a long time ago, and I put that in perspective. I mean, Brazil and Russia and China and India are these colossal, continent-sized countries, and so I just wanted to and then South Africa is a much smaller country area-wise and much smaller economically, so that's the only reason I brought that up.
We're in Africa, Jim. You can fit China in Africa.
Oh no, yeah, Africa. Yeah, you can fit three. You can fit three of the continental United States in Africa. That's yeah. I used to tell people it took me 8 hours to fly from Abidjan to Kenya. I mean, the place is just, or to fly from Nairobi to South Africa, would take, 8 or 9 hours. I mean, the place is massive.
Yeah, it's very big. Yeah. Right, I think that's about it, unless you've got any other questions.
Well, this has been incredibly enlightening, and I cannot wait to post this after my website gets put back up. The internet service provider in the United States is trying to get it restored, and as soon as it's put up, this will go up, and I'm very excited. It's been a real education for me. I'll check out all the stuff that you talked about as far as Standard Bank, Naspers, Platinum Mines, and everything else. All in all, it sounds very encouraging about, at least recently, what the Chinese are doing in South Africa, and we'll have to get together again later and kind of compare notes and have another show. How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful. And next time you talk, I'll ask the question.
Yeah, usually I get interviewed, and I'm doing all the talking. So it's been kind of fun to sit here and listen to someone be in the limelight. So thank you very much, Gail, and maybe someday my wife and I can come visit you in Durban.
Oh, what a pleasure. That would be wonderful. Yes, and don't forget, everybody, you can find this interview on thephaser.com.
The Phaser, and of course, this is Jeff Brown from www.44days.net when the website gets back up. WordPress crashed my website, so anyway, this has just been absolutely fabulous. It's now 6 in the morning here, midnight your time, and you've got to go to bed, and I've got to go to work.
Yes, well, have a wonderful day. Great talking to you.
I'll keep you in touch as to when this goes up, and of course you'll put it on Phaser, so everybody around the world can see it.
Yes. So they'll all know. Don't even try a color revolution here. Because we're ready for you. We're waiting.
That's right. No, the CIA and the MI6 will fail in South Africa.
We know you're coming. Have a great day.
Yeah, hugs from Beijing, and looking forward to staying in touch, Gail.
You too. Okay,
bye.
Bye.